What's up, DC Nation? Welcome back to another video. And guys, like the video, get a big thumbs up and new to the channel. Make sure you subscribe so I like straight content every day that you don't want to miss. Now guys, I'm explaining and reviewing Dark Knight's Metal #1. But before we dive into that, let me give you guys a recap of what happened in Dark Days the Forge and Dark Days the Casting. So, what pretty much happened was we saw Hawkman in the past with Hawkgirl trying to figure out and discover what Nth metal is. Now, that was based in their origin, and Hawkman pretty much recruited a bunch of people: Raj al Ghul, Vandal Savage, the Wizard of Shazam, Cain and Abel, and also Etrigan. There's a lot of characters involved, and he kind of had like people come onto his cause. And him and Conjure, Carter Hall and Conjure Saunders teamed up and they tried to figure this out, and eventually Carter Hall went on his own way and figured out a portal, went through it, and he was never seen again. He went into the unknown. Now, we'll find out where he went in this issue. But in the present day, we saw Batman keeping secrets from everyone. He was meeting with different heroes, trying to get different artifacts like Psycho Pirate's Mask, stuff from the Core of Al storyline from Scott Snyder, Batman run. Also, he got like the Cosmic Tuning Fork. He found that, which that was a big deal in like Dark Days the Forge. He also found the Dagger of Shazam. He traded pretty much a Sunblade that Wonder Woman gave to him, traded that with Talia to get the Dagger of Shazam, because that pretty much connected all these artifacts. And with all these artifacts, he had Duke and Hal Jordan make a construct that he could sit down, look through it, and finally like reveal this mystery of what Nth metal is. And all he saw was darkness, guys. That's all he saw. But what he didn't know was, instead of trying to figure out this mystery and pretty much save the day, what he actually was doing was releasing these evil Batman and Barbados into the DC universe and causing something bad to happen. And Joker in Dark Days of Casting was trying to tell them, Hal Jordan, Duke, and Batman, hey, this is not good. Don't do that. Like, I'm actually the good guy. I know what's gonna happen. What Batman's trying to do could release something big. And it did. So guys, that's what we know coming into this first issue of this big saga. So, enough with this intro. Let's dive into Dark Knight's Metal #1. Now guys, Dark Knight's Metal #1 has about a total of like 5 different covers. Well actually, 5 different covers. We got this one, which is a cool cover. This is the only cover you got if you went at midnight and got the comic the first day it came out, which I did. This is the only series that I went midnight and got this, alright? And then there's also this cover with Batman like a dinosaur, which is really cool. Then we got Superman versus Mongol, that's pretty dope. And then we also got like Wonder Woman fighting off like a machine, that's cool. And then the OG cover. This is like the cover you would get if you bought it now. But yeah guys, those are all the 5 covers. But I'm going to be using, not this one because this one was hard to find. I'm not going to open this because this is valuable. But I'm actually going to use this one when I read it, alright? So guys, let's dive in. So guys, after looking at this really cool cover and how shiny it is, you see Superman, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg, Flash, and Green Lantern, and Batman on the cover, and they are in this issue. But we open up, and we pretty much see like a short story like 50,000 years ago about 3 tribes. The Bat, the Bird, and the Owl. So these are pretty much all 3 tribes that kind of like Scott Snyder introduced in his Batman run, and throughout this whole like all his stories. But here we see a new one jumps in, a new like tribe jumps in, and this is not good. And it shows like a blood stain on it, and that's pretty much like bad stuff's coming. So that's the introduction, and then we see pretty much Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Batman, Cyborg, and the Flash all on like War World, which is pretty much where Mongol is, and he has this whole place like a coliseum, and they're about to fight out this big machine. Now, he has pretty much stuff to limit these heroes, like Flash, he can't run that fast. Superman, it's under Red Sun, so he's not as strong. So it's more just like fight off, like a brawl, instead of like heroes with their powers fighting off. So it's a lot of entertainment for Mongol, but bad for the Justice League. Now, also there is the Toy Man, and he's working with Mongol too. But now we have the heroes, they fight off this machine, and Mongol didn't see this, but Batman, being super smart, he doesn't have powers, and he figures out how to get control of this machine. And he has all the heroes, like all of them, pretty much take a spot in this machine. And he gets it, he's like, come on, let's do this. And they get control of the thing. It kind of hurts them because it's like the machine's taking over them, but now they have control of the full machine, and it kind of comes like a Power Rangers type thing, like a huge mecha robot, and they start like pretty much destroying the Coliseum and trying to get out of there. So it's pretty quick. Mongo doesn't really stand as a big threat in this introduction. It's kind of like, alright, before getting into this big dark story, let's have a fun Justice League adventure. But they take down Mongo, they get away, and we don't really see Mongo get taken off on the screen. It's more off screen. Because the last line is Batman's like, alright, Superberry, so you can kick his, and we know that's like kick his ass, like just beat Mongo. And that's when we see this big thing right here, which pretty much shows all the people on the series. Dark Knight's Mel, we have Scott Snyder, we have Greg Capullo, we also have FCO Placenta, who's a great color artist. So it's a lot of big names on this, and it shows we're getting a good creative team and some high level writing. Like, this is gonna be a great series. So then we see Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Superman, and the Justice League. They all get back to Earth, right? And they see like this Challenger's Mountain just erupted in Gotham City. Everybody's like freaking out. They're like, what the heck is this? So they're freaking out, and they pretty much like left Gotham City. So Gotham City's kind of used to this though. Like, why are they freaking out? They had like No Man's Land. They have City of Bane after this storyline, which isn't really that good. But they've had a lot of like chaos in that city, so they're kind of used to it. But still, they panicked and left after this Challenger's Mountain just erupted out of nowhere. Now Batman's like, how did I not know about this? He's telling Wonder Woman, and Woman's like, hey, we were pretty much tapped into the Watchtowers system. We could knew about this, but we still didn't detect it. It just came out of nowhere. And then Batman and Superman have Flash pretty much run around the mountain to find like an entrance inside. And Flash does. Now guys, they go inside, they start walking through, it's kind of mysterious. They find like this chamber thing that's kind of similar to what they saw like when Batman saw through the Dark Multiverse in the Dark Days of Casting. Now they look at it, they're looking around, and then they see this thing on the wall. It says, it's chasing us, run. So they think it's something bad, and that's when the Blackhawks walk in, and they're actually not bad. They're like, oh, this is Conjure Saunders, who is Hawkgirl, but she's disappeared. She's been gone for so long, no one really knew she exists for a while. So this is her first appearance in like a big long time. But she's with the Blackhawks, and she's like, okay, come back with me to my island, and we can talk about what's going on in this chaos. Now, they pretty much go to the South Pacific Island, and they're inside this place, and they're talking about Hawkman, how he was like a hero, and Hawkgirl and Hawkman's relationship, how they teamed up, looked for the Nth Metal, and how pretty much Hawkman had all these people join his cause, like Starman. They had Red Tornado, the Challenges of the Unknown, a lot of old characters. And guys, Starman, he actually shows up again in the Justice League series by Scott Snyder, a great series. But Starman, I think he's underrated, and he should be in more stories because he is a great character, and he can be used to great use if writers actually considered him other than like these big heroes. But still, they pretty much talk about how they kept searching for it. He enlisted a bunch of people like Vandal Savage, but Hawkman was pretty much the first one to go after this Nth Metal, and he just kept recruiting people as time went on until he went missing. Now, Conjura or Hawkgirl pretty much puts out the multiverse map from Infinite Crisis, which is a big deal. It's like, okay, so this is a multiversal threat, and they're looking at it, and she's talking about, okay, here's the multiverse, and then she just shows black. She's like, then there's the Dark Multiverse. So there's a whole separate multiverse than the one we are in. So, Dark Multiverse, that's where Hawkman went, and it's obviously bad. Like, that's not a good name. Like, it's a good name, but it's not something to be scared of. Like, if you're in these heroes' shoes, you're like, there's a Dark Multiverse? What the heck is that? But she tries to explain it, and all these heroes are trying to, like, just brainstorm, like, what is this? What can we do? But they don't really know. And that's when Red Tornado pretty much wakes up. Like, he's been asleep for all this time, like, kind of shut down, but he wakes up and he says, you open the door. And he just starts shouting, and he starts, like, attacking the Justice League, attacking the Blackhawks, and you're like, oh, what does he mean by you open the door? Well, when Batman and Duke and Hal Jordan, when they're in that Batcave, and they put all the artifacts together in Dark Days of Casting, and Batman looked through to see the darkness, and he thought he saw nothing. What he actually did was release the evil Batman, Barbados. So Red Tornado's like, it's all your guys' fault. Like, it's your fault that this is happening. So pretty much he's attacking, all the Justice League are fighting him off, and in that time, Batman gets away on like a dinosaur. And guys, it's kind of like what that variant cover was. Now, it's not the exact dinosaur, like that just looked like a regular dinosaur in the variant cover, but here, it's a different kind of dinosaur, and he's like, let's run fast. So he gets off the island somewhere else. Now, we see a quick page of like Dr. Fate, and he's like, what are these dark things? And you see all these different figures in like shadows, and it's pretty much like the evil Batman. You got the Doomsday type one, the Batman Who Laughs, different things, but not their official looks. So back then I was like hyped, I'm like, I want to see their official looks, which we eventually see in issue number 2, but not this one. But all these big magical characters like the Phantom Stranger, Dr. Fate, even they are scared. So this is some high stakes. But then we see at the Batcave, Batman's pretty much analyzing. Alfred's like, hey, where's the Justice League? Weren't you with them with Blackhawks? Batman's like, no. The only reason Batman went to that island was not to like, oh, be the Justice League and maybe like check out the Dark Multiverse. No, he wanted to see what the Blackhawks knew and pretty much see if they could like further his journey. But they didn't really, so that's why he just left. That he didn't want to just fight off Red Tornado and get nothing out of it. But still, he's there. He's looking into pretty much his evidence that he got and trying to figure out what's going on. Alfred tells Batman, hey, be careful, and then they hear like a humming sound from upstairs. And Alfred's like, listen, humming. It's like and he's like, yeah, tuning fork. Yes, that's what Batman says. He's like, upstairs. So Batman then goes upstairs and he goes in like the library, and it's pretty much you hear the clock ticking. It's kind of like suspicious. Now, he's looking around, he sees like a bat symbol on the ground. He's like, here in the study all this time, he's starting to figure out stuff. And then he finally figures out the Journal of Carter Hall was in his library. Like, that's big. It's like, it's been there all that time, you haven't noticed. And he's like, my God, so it's all true. He starts to notice that all this stuff he's been going after is actually true, and he may have saw something when he looked through the darkness. So he starts going through, and we hear more of Carter Hall's journal and how pretty much nightmares come from this Dark Multiverse. And guys, before we get to this ending, that's pretty crazy, let me explain the Dark Multiverse a little bit. It's pretty much you have all these evil versions of these heroes, and it's all these different Earths. Now you have evil Supermans, evil Batmans, evil Wonder Womans, but the big thing is when we dream at night, you have like good dreams and then you have nightmares. So our DC universe are just the regular dreams. Where this Dark Multiverse is like total nightmares. Like stuff that you would never want to happen. Like stuff Batman would have nightmares about, stuff Superman would have nightmares about. So it's a pretty bad place to be in. And if it comes to the DC universe and engulfs it, that'd be bad. So that's the big thing that these heroes are trying to prevent. Now, Batman is reading this book, and then he says, my God, so it's all true, and some other voice says, yes, Batman, and it's revealed to be the dreamer of the endless, Sandman. And he says, yes, it is. I am Dreamer of the Endless, and I have come to tell you that this nightmare has only just begun. And Batman's shocked. He's like, how the heck you been here? And it says, next, nightmares revealed. So, this is a lot of questions in this book. There's no answers. It's more like, hey, here's a Dark Multiverse. The Justice League, you see Challengers Mountain, Hawkgirl, and the Blackhawks get involved. And Batman's going on this journey, but he's starting to get deeper and deeper, and that's bad. And now it's time that the Dreamer of the Endless kind of gets in and pretty much tells Batman and tries to help him out. Batman's eventually going to get into like a dangerous conflict that he can't prevent. But seeing that Sandman, when I first read this issue, it was a pretty good issue. I was like, okay, this is good. And then when we got to Sandman, I was like, holy crap. Like, we haven't seen this guy, Dreamer of the Endless, in so long. Because I read the original, like, first 3 volumes of Neil Gaiman's Sandman comic, and you see him pretty much fight off, like, Dr. Destiny in the first one. Like, I still remember that issue where Dr. Destiny, it's all about him. He kills a bunch of people and manipulates them. It's a dark comic. But Dreamer of the Endless, he goes after a lot of supernatural beings, and it's an awesome comic. Like, the Sandman universe is very fascinating, and they actually brought it back after this Dark Knight's Metal saga, which is not, the new ones aren't as good as the original, but still interesting to read. But seeing him come into this, like, pretty much showed you, yeah, this is a big event. Like, if you thought, oh, Cosmic Tuning Fork, that's big. If you thought this other stuff is big, well, wait till you see Dreamer of the Endless come into the story. Like, that's just a big way to end the first issue in this series, and I really liked it. Like, that's cool. But yeah, guys, enough of this explained. Let's get to my review on this issue. So guys, first off, the cover in this issue is badass. Looks really good. It kind of has like a rock on type pose. Rock on. That's pretty much what it is. If you look at the the cover right here. You see how like the heroes are positioned that way, which is really cool. Scott Snyder likes rock and roll, so it shows his personality a little bit. But the other covers are cool too, and the art in this issue is great. Like, it really helps it out. Like, Greg Capullo is one of my favorite artists. He really helps Scott Snyder, because Scott Snyder has great writing, but other artists would not be able to convey it in the way that Greg Capullo does. And Greg Capullo just kills it. He does so well. But with this issue, I had some problems. Like, the middle was a little slow. We had like the Blackhawks explain about the Dark Multiverse, and certain stuff got a little boring, but it was still like kind of the exposition to get out of the way and get you to ask questions in that first issue. So that's like the only part in this whole entire series that was like really boring, really. But still, the first part of this issue where you see like the Justice League go against Mongol, that was cool. And then you see Justice League arrive at Challengers Mountain. That was a shock, because it was like, oh, it's the Challengers of the Unknown. It's cool to see the Challengers of the Unknown, the Red Tornado, Starman, all these old characters getting like brought back into DC continuity. So that was cool. And then after the middle part, which was kind of like slow and not that much happening, we had like Red Tornado wake up. He's like, open the door. It got intense. Batman got away. It got really good. And I really feel like Dream of the Endless showing up at the end really made this issue stand out. Because if you didn't have that, this first issue would just been like, okay. But with Dream of the Endless showing up, it made this issue go from like, okay, like an okay start, to like amazing. I love you guys. Like, it was awesome. But yeah, guys, I'm overall going to give this first issue pretty much like an 8.5 out of 10. I wouldn't say this first issue is as good as like Dark Days the Forge, Dark Days the Casting, but it's a really great start to this series, and at the time I was super intrigued and excited for the next issue. But yeah, guys, with that out of the way, with explaining this first issue of Dark Knight's Metal and reviewing it, let's get to Dark Knight's Metal number 2.